Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back. This is the reading of the energies for December. Sukotorieshta kuyena kambaki je itsukia naka. Ejuki kotoriashi sushesha. Ambite kuka chetsu hesi ende uka. Ajetukoriache a si e sua. So we honor you for your progress, for your diligence on this self-reflection that we talked about last month. Estukarieshtesi, eba atia, teo, 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 teo. Ju eshi shesha, umba akike, ezutena. And the word that comes, or the phrase, is the enlightened ones, Teo. Sukadish testustande asakama ati eduteasha se ukena ambaki eduche sakama azi etana. So I'm going to pull out some Rider-Waite cards, Ushe si sena. And I always ask that the cards that I draw speak clearly, that the cards that I draw assist whoever watches this, and that I get out of my own way to speak for the collective as much as possible. Ishukandea stukavariashesi kama, hidoriasheshusha, and diaka. But of course, as always, whoever is drawn to this is in a way similarly vibrating to me, because that's why you like to watch this, because there is a resonance going on between my perspective and what I connect to and bring through that resonates with where you are on your journey. Ejukia tsesu sena, ejuti hamba okea teo shushana, inde tutariakia amba akike, ezuti andea Chutsa Sekania. Okay. All right, and I will pull a unicorn card, which will be, as always in my readings, the underlying message, something that will pull it all together, will be the common denominator of all of this month's December's readings. Ishusha kataria tea ko ungi mbididikika taraya deo nananya nanakikoba. Deo shtaka atidikikomba atias de ke koko umbutu tarishtaknikamba. Edu datea, hedu daria te shtakunuya nanamakika. Ze ute, Shando Korea, Bambi Tena. Okay, here we go. All right, so, all right, the first card is, and again, I read it like a story. It actually flows as a story. So the first card that I pulled out is the Eight of Swords. Now, what I find happens is the first couple of cards, in a way, reflect back upon the last month. And because of the first two cards in this series, we talked last month about looking at the influence of the men in our lives, or how we relate to the men in our lives, and specifically where that came from. And it comes from, in a certain number of cases, to how we related to our father, the first male that we, or grandfather, whoever was closest to us, whoever we related to as that first male figure, sort of sets us up on how we relate to a lot of different men in our lives, whether they be colleagues or bosses, friends, etc. So this first card, Eight of Swords, is that you have understood that it is your responsibility to move forward. That if you feel stuck, that it is your efforts that unstick you, that nothing really external can do it for you. And that when you take that sort of mature perspective that it's your responsibility, that nobody is holding you back or no thing is holding you back, but it is a perception that needs to alter within you. So you've understood this. The people that are watching this have understood the power is within you to make change. And the next two cards, I pulled two to show this next aspect, and it is actually the King and the Queen. So in the way that this is flown out is that you've understood the influence of your parents. You've contemplated where you've come from, why you think the way that you do, and that it's time to move away from those definitions that we were given as a child. About what we could and couldn't be, what we could achieve or not achieve, what was successful and what wasn't success. So you have freed yourself in many respects from being, I mean, a way, the word is that comes to me, a slave to the program, that you are independent now of that program in many ways, through the analysis, through the observation, through the taking responsibility. Kia 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 ichio nia nakamatia. Kia 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 suku uti shina. Ambakia te siketia sikietia chukumbu utia jitkena kamba atia ste ikenia taka. Shia sekundia te kanama. So this being is saying that if you haven't done that deep dive, please do it. Please look at what are the filters that you are looking through at this world. Are they your choice, or were they like glasses that you put on? Eshusha, in those early years, how it was defined to me was, and the analogy is, that we grow up in the house of our mother and father. So how far away from the front doorstep of that house do you now live? Do you still live within the yard, metaphorically, of that original house? Or have you moved right away to establish your own house and your own beliefs and your own perspectives? And the analogy is that most people don't. Most people set up house within the same yard as their parents, not that far from the front doorstep. Aku hietiacha, se ku anda, se kuka andia betia ta aku yena. So if you were to ask yourself, how far away from that front doorstep do I live? What would you honestly say? E tuki tiet sakandandia tiet sukunakama. Kia dia sukinia bakotarea. Kike etsiata. Seku eti shaamba akutria sheshana. Imbiatia korekika moyo tsukuria chansiandarikika. So freeing yourself, understanding that you are the one that frees yourself, that cuts you from those ties that bind you, from those perceptions that maybe no longer suit you as an adult. This then leads to moving away and letting go of, I mean, the term of this card is to move out of the dark cycle, to move out of a tunnel of darkness, to move into the light, to move from rough waters into smooth waters. And yes, there's conflict, and yes, there's challenge in this journey, but ultimately it leads to freedom Kumbeatika, akucheka dia dia bia 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 batukonea dia 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 cheka. Si kutari chikia nia 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 dia 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 kukaria dia tsiko dia dia nakama. Ze etukia, se hekutia, se ekutia chakana. So what they're saying here is it isn't often just like a cut off, just a change. It is something that you circle back on and try again and see it as you gain more and more awareness. When you come back to these early issues and early perspectives, you see them in greater and greater clarity as you move forward, staying aware of these situations or perspectives that you have within your being. Ambakutarieshti konya nakaka. Shitikia tseo tushindi kongetiata. Kambaka se ikana. So for the people that have done this work of understanding this, there is an ending of a dark cycle, moving into new light, into new realities. And in fact, there will be the world is at your feet, that this will change your whole world view. This will change what you think you can achieve or succeed at or be, because of identifying the filters that you've been living by, removing those glasses, observing those glasses that you were looking through, so that the world will open up. That you have been, in a way, looking at the world through a narrow bandwidth that is your inner child's wounds, or in another way, your parents' wounds that they overlaid upon you. And when you move right away from that, the doorstep of your father, your world opens up. And many more things are visible to you. Many more opportunities are there. And in fact, that is one of the later cards in this reading. So when the world opens up to you, the next card that comes up is the King of Cups. And I pulled a second card to help define that. And that is the Emperor card. And that's total sovereignty. So the highest card in the suit is the King. And the King of Cups is emotional maturity, emotional wisdom, emotional intelligence. So when you are understanding of your emotional reactions, your programming of the childhood, and begin to extricate, begin to move away from that front doorstep, you become emotionally mature. You become emotionally wise to the programs, to your habits and propensities. And this leads to stability and security. Absolutely nobody can pull you off center. They may knock you off center for a bit, but you come back. And that's what's coming next in this story of the month of December. Estuki kianzeti aka, heshutseki indeshtushtanakamakika. So fantastic, wonderful, congratulations, yay. Usia dia tu she sha shandakiatsa, educeatsa, como etsi shenzi akanaya, sesusa, shesha shiasa, embiatia tukaniaka. So when you freed up a lot of these perspectives, when you freed up a lot of these energies that were tied up in your father's house, you then find greater access to the depths within you. Your deeper mind, your psychic abilities, your intuition, your gut feeling. So when we are so caught up in all of this, in they did that and he did this and this is not fair, all of our energy goes into that, or most of our energy, and we have very little left to try anything new. So when we start to observe the patterns and extricate ourselves and make a different choice in the moment, or even in reflection of a moment and choosing to maybe do better next time, that is a huge achievement too, let me tell you, to watch yourself go through it. And you may not be able to stop yourself, but you're going in the back of your mind, oh my God, here it is again, I'm reacting in this way. That understanding that you are doing that is very powerful as well. So be compassionate with your progress. Remember this movement of my hand is that you may come back to certain things, but you are looking at it from a higher or a broader perspective each time you may circle back to it. So when all of these energies are observed and we start understanding that it's the program and that we can make different choices, we free up energy and we are able to connect with what we really want, with our gut, with our heart, and not in that knee-jerk program or conditioned response that we've been living as a result of our childhood experiences. So the next is that choices. This is the choices that will come to you, and these are choices that are not necessarily have not necessarily been there before, because all of these cups with these very varied experiences are all floating in a cloud. So they're not necessarily obvious in our world or obvious in how we get to them in our world. So they can be out of this world, these choices. Eshushi sakandika, edukika, ambakachi at sukoterikan de at sukotaria sheshishen nanakikumba. Hayetie jeti oki enzi atamaka. Hayatea shtustakaya shesi enze tiana. Kiambakatia sheshushe izikana. So the last rider weight for this month is the Empress. About abundance, about creation, about dreaming, about visualization, about power inherent within you that you access. Finally find the doorway to Atsi Chenaka. And this is about dreaming the dream. Ijuti kendi abatushte siata kiendakamaka eduche sana. So when you free up, as I said, the energy around all of this stuff, around he did this, they did this, why is this happening? It's not fair. When you just go, you know what, let it go. I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to stay centered within my being and flow. And as I've said before, let go of the bank of the river and allow the flow of energy to take you. Free of that filter of the inner child that defined you in a very narrow box, a very narrow bandwidth. Ishtukiyatsa, and allow it to take you and flow. So start dreaming further this month because you've freed up more energy that was tied up in that stuff. So the unicorn card is to be creative for the month of December. And that is draw, paint, think, and act in creative ways. So it does flow with this Rider-Waite card reading, that now's the time to utilize that freed up energy and start trying new things, trying things that are not in a way work related or have to related or should related. This is about exploring your own creativity in whatever way you would like and trying some new things. If you haven't painted before, have a go. If you haven't sung before, join a choir. Whatever it is that you have always thought about but haven't really felt you had the time to do, or have been too busy to do, or too focused on something else in order to actually make space for this. Sukia chetsa ambakutena achet sukanaya. So over overall, this is an incredibly uplifting and life-affirming, heartwarming reading that when we do this work, and it would appear that if you have, from the last month of looking at yourself, looking at your relationships with men, with your dad ultimately, has freed up a lot of stuff, has made you aware in a way that you haven't been aware before. And that this now means a whole new vista will be opened up to you. Asikuyetionzekomia. Seti oshenarkamakiatsa. Ejutiatianaka. Amba uki ninianda. So wherever you think you are at the moment, evolutionary wise, just be at peace with it. That's a huge step in and of itself as well. To know that where you are is absolutely perfect, and just relax and allow and accept and love yourself as unconditionally as you can. Warts and all, as they say. Ijuti kungaya chatsa siena kumbaka tiata. You've done the hard yards in many, many different ways. Ishukiat seko uteniatia. Kiambakatadi shusha shiana. At least in these layers. And you will continue to move in this spiral. Ashiat sakunyataka. And you may come back to some of these things, but it won't be in the same way. You are different, whether you realize it or not, and you will deal with it, respond to it in a different way as you keep staying the observer. Ambati kia tsetsusa nyana, kibia tushteshta nyana, kamba atia susayana. So I probably will do more videos in the next few weeks, but if I don't see you again, have a fantastic holiday month in December. See you later, guys. Bye.